just looking for those results. Even just having that game that a little bit later, if the results go against you in the afternoon, it's another body blow. And Dion talk about walking onto the pitch, needing a win just to catch up. You're desperate just to get your nose in front. I think it's going to be a big ask for him.
Yeah, I just feel that the way that Eddie Howe's gone about his sort of like shuffling players about, really just nudging Joe Linton back into that space. He's done well, and Sam Maximan's on the way back. Almiron's been playing out of his school. Joe Willock's now fit. And Longstaff as well. Anthony Gordon as well. So there's lots of sort of choice for Eddie Howe, and I just like the way that he's, and I've said it many times, I like the way that he's walking with that job. He's not sprinting into buying lots of players because he's got lots of money. He's putting players in good positions that they play well in, and he's using his money well, and he's not rushing it.
He has a few more options now. Scott Minto does Eddie Howe, doesn't he? But you know what we were talking about earlier about at least making sure you have a settled 5 or 6 if you're not going to have a settled 11. Well, his goalkeeper and back 4 are 100% settled.
And off the back of that, as Dave will tell us, best defence in the Premier League. You get that kind of consistency, and you can practice that day in, day out, training session in, training session out, and you can see that. And the argument everyone's looking for the ultimate. Oh, well, they don't score enough goals now. Well, Eddie Howe has done the right thing. He's built from the back. I wasn't sure about Eddie when he first came in, because we know at Bournemouth played wonderful football, but defensively they were pretty poor. He really has gone away. He's looked at training methods. I think he went to Atletico Madrid as well and spoke to probably the Don Daddy of them all, Diego Simeone, and how do you keep a clean sheet? Boy, do they look good. And now, as you say, they've got options. Anthony Gordon looked decent when he came on last week. And again, like with Arsenal, what Mikel Arteta has tried to do, once you've got those options off the bench, if it's for whatever reason not working, you want your consistency of selection. But if it's not working, you want to look at the bench and say, I've got 2 or 3 play here that can make the difference, and he's getting that now.
I think the interesting stat that comes out of Newcastle defensively, 12 clean sheets, 12 goals conceded this season in the Premier League, the best of both of those records. But I'd also like to throw into the mix, Newcastle have been underperforming in front of goal since the World Cup. We speak about Southampton not scoring, Bournemouth not scoring. Only those 2 sides and Palace have scored fewer goals than Newcastle in the Premier League since that point. They're underperforming their expected goals by 4 at the moment, which is only beaten by Chelsea and Liverpool, 2 teams as well that are misfiring. And maybe looking at someone like Miguel Almiron, 8 goals from 37 shots before the World Cup. Afterwards, he scored 1 goal from 9 shots. His chance conversion has dropped from 22% to 11. The goals need to be maybe, sort of split out in the team, which is kind of what we saw with maybe Sean Longstaff.
And is that just on him, or are the other attacking? It's across the board.
It's across the board that they're misfiring in front of goal in the Premier League. Obviously, in the League Cup's been slightly different, but just to the Premier League, they need the players to start scoring now.
So is that down to not having a settled number 9 on a selfish point of view? Because what will happen as a team work hard to create chances, you haven't naturally got somebody that thinks, right, I need to be here in order to score a goal. Almiron's got himself a couple of goals and done brilliant. I think Longstaff's got himself a couple as well. But however, the number 9 player that just stays in that position to score goals, they really haven't had consistently. So
I think we've seen that with Isak's injury at the start of the season.
Yeah, Wilson's been injured.
Wilson's
as well.
been in and out.
There they are.
There's definitely that, and I think it has to be spread. The Joelinton's energy's sensational, but a few goals here and there would be nice. Same with Joe Willock, a few goals. The interesting thing with Newcastle, no player scored more than 1 goal since the World Cup. So that's something that they just need to see, and I think Anthony Gordon's a pretty decent solution for that.
Rob?
It's interesting, isn't it? You look at Newcastle, we were talking about who the other teams, I forget the terminology, sorry, Snapman, but it was Chelsea and Liverpool. Liverpool lost Mane in the summer. Chelsea haven't had a number 9. We're talking about the number 9 of Newcastle. There's your 3 teams. It's some things do not change. Good teams, winning teams have a number 9.
Callum Wilson has said if he does score today, and he said this on the Footballers Football podcast, if he scores at Bournemouth, he won't celebrate. He says, I feel like they gave me an unbelievable opportunity to play and progress my career. So to celebrate in front of their fans against the team that means so much to them would be a bit disrespectful. You're not having that?
No, absolutely no.
Did you celebrate against all?
Everybody. Did you? Everybody, yes. If I did score, everybody. I worked too hard in training not to. You work too hard on your runs and you're crossing the ball, your hours on the pitch, about 25 minutes on the pitch after training, trying to score goals. And if you score a goal, you've got to enjoy
So
it.
hang on, I can kind of understand it with your Premier League clubs, I suppose. But did you ever go back to Cambridge with Villa or Coventry or probably not United?
No, I think I went up the standard of football mark. I'll have you find.
But if you had gone because of what Cambridge did for you,
Yes.
and your career,
Yes.
and he's saying the same thing about Bournemouth. I wonder whether you would have celebrated against Cambridge.
In answer to your question, I don't know if I would have done. However, they would have expected me to, because I was that kind of player.
Right.
That I would, celebrate everything that I did well on the pitch, which was very little. But when the ball went in the back of the net, off my shin, off my shoulder, I tended to celebrate, even in training.
Okay, I just think you had a bit more romance towards Cambridge than when you became a Premier League mercenary.
Listen, Cambridge United and Norwich, because they're the two I really started my careers at, really, are possibly the closest to when it comes to going back to the clubs and stuff, even though the rest are great. But scoring against them, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done, but I'm thinking to myself, knowing myself, I'd have celebrated saying sorry.
I mean, it's not the same for you, Rob, is it? Really?
No.
Did you ever celebrate making saves?
No, because invariably you're about to chuck one in a minute later. So, but I think going back to my former clubs, I got beat every time, so there wasn't ever anything to be celebrated.